Hey, once again, welcome. Still Big John Design, and welcome to the next video in the beginner guide to email design. So in this video, I'm going to show you examples that made mention in the previous video. So if you haven't check it out, I'm going to link it somewhere around here, and also do well to check the previous video so that you get more context on what we're actually going to talk about in this particular video. Alright, so let's go. So I made mention of different segments of design. So this is just a typical email design. Like you can see, I keep a side-by-side comparison between this is the old design that I got, and then this was what I created out of it. So I did the design some yeah, it's been a while. And just for context, it was just a test design and not direct brand. So yeah, let's get into it. Please, if you haven't liked the video, please like the video, subscribe, turn the bell notification, and thank you for stopping by. Yeah, sorry about my voice. I don't know what happened, but I hope it's good enough. Alright, so let me get into the basic structure of design. Okay, for context sake, I'm going to show you how um, the header, the hero image, the body content, call to action, and footer. Please, this video is just an example of the previous video, so you must watch the previous video before you can come back to this. So this is our typical email work. So I'm going to walk you down this. So we have here the logo. We have the logo. Okay, it's too big, so we reduce it. This is the logo, and this is the headline. And we also have the sub headline here. Then we have the CTA here, and then we have the image here. So we call it hero image. So all these, here. So all these are what the component of email design. So we have the logo, which is very important. So if you see what they have here, it's still the same structure, but it was just all over the place. Like if you notice struggling with, and like it's kind of hard to grasp, because I don't really know what I need to read here, because struggling with, and then the review, and coming back to this, so it's a bit all over the place. So I have to make it straightforward, and then giving the subscriber what they actually came for. And then coming here, we have the body content. The body content can be as long as the body can be as long as depending. So we have the body here. The body also contains the CTA, images and stuff. So these are part of the body. These are part of the body till this point here. So this is the body content. see, and you can still break this down into different segments, like bridge section. This is part of the body. This is the bridge section. This section here, like, let me highlight it. This is the bridge section, because you are moving to the next information. This is also a bridge section. It's also a bridge section. So this is a CTA. Like I mentioned earlier in the previous video, you can have more than one CTA depending on how long the email is. So this particular email we have like 3 CTA to catch um to, to catch and convert. So the next thing we are going to talk about is your email has to have one clear goal, and keep it skimmable, short paragraph, bullet points, mobile first, bold, clear CTA, and use web safe fonts. So now this email is skimmable. Like, you can just, struggling with cash flow, and then the next thing and the CTA, but over here it's not skimmable. I have to make this comparison so that you can see what is good and what is not that good. And you move over to the next section, which is one clear goal, bam, here, and then the bullet points, and you move here, and then you get the CTA. But over here, this is where the CTA is. It's a bit confusing because I might not really know that this is a CTA. Okay, so if you have green here, coming over to have a different box here, it's not that um acceptable. Yeah, let me just put that. And also the next image, to support this particular image, so I didn't want the email to be that so bland, so I have to put a supporting image here. And then the next section, why wait, take control now, and then the bullet point with some icons, you get to actually convey the message better. Then your CTA, and then adding a social proof, and then we have the thank you and everything in between. And also this is the footer. So this is how a typical footer works. So you can use one footer over and over again. You don't need to um, design different footer for different emails, unless it's a different brand. But if it is the same brand, you can use the same footer. Okay, so the next thing that we need to understand is width. So if you notice that this email here, the width is 600. Okay, this is 1000. Sorry. Yeah, I made mention that you can use 600, 1200, 1800. So I use 1000 here. But if you want to, this is how they. This is how a typical email looks like. 600 width. So you need to be sure that it's always 600. You come over to this section here, this particular section here, you see width, dimensions, width, and height can be as long as height is not really a problem, but the width have to be cohesive. So I take it back to 1000. And then the next thing that we talked about was keep it skimmable. Like I mentioned earlier, CTA has to be bold. You see, this CTA is very bold, and it's easy to see because it doesn't contrast. I did not really use, maybe let me say something like a white here, even though it still stands out, but there's white here already, and then you need something different to catch their attention. And then using a web safe font, like this particular brand, they have their own particular fonts, which is they are using Poppins. In typography here, you see Poppins, and they are using their body content is Rubik. So you always make sure that you know the typeface that they are using. So maybe when you are going into design research, I'm going to put you through on tools that you need to use to know the particular typeface that is in their website, so that you can know, either you can go download it or you can just request for it. That's if you are working for the brand. And then padding has to be 20 to 30 pixels margin around the contents. Like if you notice here, you know that my padding is on point, because these text here, they are not overlapping. They are not overlapping the edges, so you need to make sure that you have some space, because even in a mobile phone there's always some inches that is that you need to keep, so all the content will not just fall into the edges of the phone and it might be a little bit difficult to read. So this is my padding here. I'm still going to show you how to set up your layout so you can have padding and your content should not overlap those spaces. Like everything here is the same, but in terms of picture can break, but text and other elements needs to be in these spaces that is inside the padding. Like from here to here is enough, is big enough to play around. And then color palette, if you notice, I use 3 colors here. As okay, let me just exclude the footer because this is what they have on their website. So this is the first color, second color, and that's the same thing I use in the CTA. And also this bridge, I use a different color for contrast sake, for contrast, because I didn't want to use this. It's just similar to the CTA, so you need to use something different. And yeah, but you can still play around with 3 colors. See, play around with 3 colors if you know what you are doing. And also for the start, I always recommend 2 colors. And then yeah, file should be PNG logo. Sorry, I'm reading from the previous document that we did in the last video. So this image is here PNG, this image is here PNGs. And then so tools to use, like this is Figma, so I use Figma 900% of my design, and build and send in Klaviyo. I don't test the emails, stock images, I list them. I use FreePic, and I use flat icon for icons. So too many mistakes to avoid: don't use too many CTA, like maybe some rookie, you put a CTA here, put CTA here, put CTA here, and also put a CTA here. You need to be very very cautious, yeah, while putting CTA. And text embedded in images. Okay, this is what I meant, because one of my students reached out to me on our private WhatsApp community and was asking what does that mean. This is a typical text embedded in in image. Like it's hard to read. I can't really, aside from it is a bit blurry, but I can't really read what is here. I can't really read what is here. I was able to acquire I have to stretch, and not everybody have a great eyesight, especially if you are working with a brand that is targeting elderly people. They won't be able to get this, they won't be able to read this, and probably this. So I always try as much as possible to make sure that the text stands out. And yeah, so if I was to use this particular image here, I would have put a gradient here, and then another background for me to be able to play around with this. So this email here is mobile view. So if it goes into Klaviyo, it's going to be very readable in mobile. and then color contrast. So you don't use weak color contrast, but this is not your this is not in your control, because some brands don't really have great colors. You need to be super creative for you to be able to use them. So yeah. Also, accessibility guideline, use 22 pix font minimum. So I use here, okay, this is going to determine, because if I'm using 600 width frame, then definitely the size of the font is going to be different. Like this is 18 here, the font size is going to be different. So the bigger the frame, the bigger the font size that you need to use. So it's not like a one size fits it. So you need to use your own design instincts to know, oh, this font is okay, the size is okay, and yeah, and then you know the audience you are actually targeting, or that the audience that your brand is targeting. Okay, so that should be the end of this video, but before I go, I will just need for you to understand that email design is not that difficult, it's not that hard. You just have to follow the structure, and here is very important. There was a time I made mention of above the fold and below the fold. So above the fold is the first part of your email that shows in a mobile screen, and is always always around 1000. This is going to change since you are using 1000. Okay, let me just scale it down. Let me scale it down again so you can note. So it always 1700 to 1000. So 700, you know that this is going to be the first part that is going to appear on mobile. So anybody that is reading the email, the length is always from here to here. You know, some devices can be longer than some, so to be on the safe side, I always use 1000. So these are the part that is going to show, like opening the email, this is what you see first, this from here to here. So this, I've converted the message already, because there is a um, hero text here, subheadline, and CTA. So this is what we call above the fold. And also we have below the fold is this down section of the email. This is the below the fold, which also needs to convey a message. If at all I wanted to, I would have added a CTA here, but for the context of this email, it didn't really need a CTA here. Normally I do put a CTA here as well, to pick those subscribers that read through but did not click the email. So now you understand what, in case, because I'll use it a lot, I started using it above the fold, below the fold, and this middle section there is no name for it. Yeah, but this is the most important section. And then a little bit more on the footer. So if you see, this is a branded footer with their logo here, and then the category, vehicle finance, business finance, property finance. So in case maybe the person is not interested in this particular email, like he's not interested in the context of this email, but coming through here, you might say, oh, let me see what they have on business finance. So they click here, it takes them to the website about business finance. So you use here to capture most of the leads that, sorry, most of the subscribers that didn't really click through the email. So we have the social media, and you have, this is very important, the copyright, then the address, and then you have the unsubscribe button, and this is the most important part. Like in Klaviyo, if this is not set, the email cannot be sent. You cannot send an email out that doesn't have an unsubscribe button. So you have unsubscribe and manage preference in case they want to receive less email or stuff like that. So, and this is just how a typical folder works, and it's pretty easy to create, and it's pretty straightforward. So this and this, you see the difference. There's a very clear difference. So that is how to turn a not so good email into a more functional email that generates and converts. So this is the end of today's session, and thank you for staying true. Please do well to subscribe if you haven't, and do well to turn the bell notification so you don't miss any of my updates. And please give it a thumbs up, comment if you don't understand again, so I can better explain it to you in the comment section. And till I see you next time, I still remain Big John Design, and I'm very happy to take you on this journey. Adios.